The Young and the Restless spoilers Friday's weekly full episodes August 23, 2024. In the shadows of Genoa City, Sally Spectra was quietly weaving a plan of her own, a plan that would see her enemies brought to their knees. For too long, she had watched Adam Newman and Chelsea Lawson play their games, manipulating those around them with a smug sense of superiority. They believed they had everyone fooled, basking in their supposed victories as if they were untouchable. But Sally knew better, and she was ready to strike when the time was right. This was her moment, and she wasn't about to let it slip away. Adam and Chelsea had become complacent, believing that their schemes had gone unnoticed. They celebrated their perceived success, unaware that the very people they thought they had outsmarted were watching their every move. Sally and Billy Abbott had their reasons for staying quiet, for biding their time. It wasn't out of fear or uncertainty, it was part of a larger strategy, one that would ensure Adam and Chelsea's downfall when they least expected it. Sally's plan was methodical, precise, and deeply personal. She had suffered at the hands of Adam before, and now it was time for payback. But this wasn't just about revenge, it was about exposing the truth, about revealing the dark underbelly of Adam and Chelsea's actions. She knew that their so-called victories were built on lies and deceit, and she was determined to bring those lies crashing down around them. As Sally moved forward with her plan, she found an unexpected ally in Billy. He, too, had been burned by Adam and Chelsea, and his desire to see them face justice matched Sally's own. Together, they formed a formidable team, each bringing their own strengths to the table. But unlike Adam and Chelsea, they weren't interested in flashy displays or public confrontations. Their approach was more subtle, more insidious. They would let Adam and Chelsea dig their own graves, all the while ensuring that the truth was ready to be unleashed at the perfect moment. Meanwhile, Connor Newman was caught in the crossfire of his parents' misdeeds. The young boy had become increasingly aware of the murky waters his parents were navigating, and it left him feeling confused and ashamed. Connor loved his parents, but he couldn't reconcile the people they were in private with the image they presented to the world. He longed for a time when his family could be together again, but not like this. Not under a cloud of lies and betrayal. Connor's innocence was being eroded by the harsh realities of his parents' choices, and it pained him to see the people he loved becoming something he could barely recognize. As the tension built, Victor Newman and Michael Baldwin decided it was time to take action. They were aware of the precarious situation unfolding and the potential fallout that could follow. It was time to bring Jill Abbott back to Genoa City, to have her face the reality of her son's failures. Victor relished the idea of watching Jill's reaction as she saw the mess her beloved son had created. For Victor, this was about more than just business, it was about proving a point, about showing that no one, not even Jill Abbott, could escape the consequences of their actions. Billy, on the other hand, was filled with dread at the thought of his mother's return. He knew that once Jill was back in town, there would be no more hiding, no more delaying the inevitable. It was time to confess, to lay everything out in the open. The thought terrified him, but he also knew that it was the only way to move forward. He couldn't keep running from his mistakes, and with Jill back in the picture, the time for reckoning had come. Jill Abbott was a woman of immense power and influence, and she wasn't one to sit idly by while her son's life fell apart. She would do whatever it took to fix the mess Billy had created, to restore the Abbott name to its former glory. But Jill wasn't blind to the forces at play. She knew that Victor Newman would be watching her every move, waiting for the slightest misstep. The question was, would Victor allow her to fix the mess, or would he step in and ensure that Billy faced the full consequences of his actions? Victor had always been a man of control, and he wasn't about to let Jill waltz in and clean up Billy's mess without a fight. He saw this as an opportunity to weaken the Abbott family, to show that the Newmans were the true power in Genoa City. But Jill was no pushover. She had dealt with Victor before, and she knew how to navigate his mind games. This wasn't just about saving Billy, it was about protecting her legacy, about ensuring that the Abbott name remained a force to be reckoned with. As the pieces moved into place, the stage was set for a dramatic showdown. Sally's plan was ready to be executed, and Adam and Chelsea were blissfully unaware of the storm about to hit them. Connor's heart ached for a family that no longer existed. In the intricate world of Genoa City, where alliances shift and secrets are currency, Summer Newman found herself at a crossroads. Her concerns centered around Harrison, the young boy she loved dearly and wanted to protect. But to secure his future, she needed to be certain of where Claire, the woman entrusted with his care, truly stood. Claire had been hired as Harrison's nanny, but Summer needed to know if Claire saw the boy as more than just a job. Her next move depended on Claire's answer. When Summer approached Claire, the conversation was direct and laced with underlying tension. Summer's question was simple: did Claire envision herself as more than just a nanny to Harrison? Did she see a future where she might step into a maternal role, perhaps even seeking custody if it ever came to that? Claire's response, however, was just as straightforward, albeit not what Summer had hoped for. Claire made it clear that while she was paid to care for Harrison, her attachment to him was purely professional. She didn't see herself as his mother and had no desire to be tied down by a child that wasn't her own. To her, this was just another job, and once her duties were complete, she and Harrison would go their separate ways. Claire's honesty, though brutal, was what Summer needed. It was the ammunition she had been seeking. With Claire's words as her weapon, Summer began to strategize. She knew that if it ever came down to a custody battle, this admission could be pivotal. It was proof that Claire had no real emotional stake in Harrison's life, which could severely damage Kyle's chances of gaining full custody. Summer felt a twinge of guilt, knowing that Kyle cared deeply for Claire, but her priority was Harrison's well-being, and she was prepared to do whatever it took to protect him. Meanwhile, across town, Phyllis Summers was dealing with her own set of challenges. Her sharp instincts had picked up on something off about Sharon, something that sent a chill down her spine. Sharon's behavior had changed, subtle but unmistakable, and Phyllis couldn't shake the feeling that something was brewing. Her concern wasn't just for herself but for the younger members of their extended family, Mariah, Faith, and Lucy. These girls were still so young, still learning to navigate the complexities of life, and Phyllis knew they were vulnerable to whatever storm Sharon might bring. Phyllis, ever the strategist, knew that she needed to approach this carefully. She couldn't afford to alienate anyone or make accusations without solid evidence. Instead, she chose to confide her suspicions in those she trusted, warning Mariah, Faith, and Lucy to be on their guard. Phyllis's protective instincts were on high alert, and she was ready to face whatever challenges came their way. With her sharp mind and experience, she was confident she could outmaneuver any adversary. As if her life weren't complicated enough, Phyllis found herself entangled in another web of intrigue, this time involving Alan, Tracy's boyfriend. What started as casual conversations between Phyllis and Alan quickly caught Tracy's attention. She couldn't help but feel a pang of jealousy whenever she saw them together. Phyllis was known for her flirtatious nature, and while Tracy tried to brush off her concerns, the insecurities lingered. Phyllis, ever aware of the dynamics at play, noticed Tracy's growing discomfort. She couldn't deny that she enjoyed the attention Alan gave her, but she had no intentions of letting it escalate into something more. For Phyllis, this was just another game, another opportunity to assert her dominance in the social hierarchy of Genoa City. She thrived on the tension, the subtle power plays, and the reactions she could elicit from others. But for Tracy, this was no game. Her feelings for Alan were genuine, and the idea of losing him to someone as cunning and unpredictable as Phyllis was a nightmare she couldn't bear to contemplate. The more she observed their interactions, the more her jealousy grew, festering into something she could no longer ignore. As the tension between Phyllis and Tracy simmered, another story was unfolding with even higher stakes. Victor Newman and Michael Baldwin had made a crucial decision: Jill Abbott needed to return to Genoa City. Jill's presence was required not just to witness the fallout of her son's decisions, but to intervene and possibly salvage what was left of the Abbott family's reputation. Victor, however, had his own reasons for wanting Jill back in town. He relished the thought of seeing Jill's reaction when she realized just how far her son, Billy, had fallen. Billy, for his part, was dreading his mother's return. He knew that with Jill back in Genoa City, there would be no more hiding, no more pretending that everything was fine. Jill was a force to be reckoned with, and Billy knew that she wouldn't rest until she had taken control of the situation. But as much as he feared her wrath,